The war in Afghanistan and the election in America.
It is the country's, and the war in Afghanistan is the country's longest war ever, and yet it's barely an issue in the campaign. Mike Lowe talked to one Senate candidate who takes issue with that.
16 members of the Wisconsin Army National Guard were deployed on a mission to Afghanistan Monday. The governor was there at the send-off.
No matter what people may think about the politics of what's going on in Afghanistan, that in the end, we support our men and women in uniform.
But other politicians are avoiding the topic. Mitt Romney didn't mention it once in his convention speech, and the presidential election has been dominated by economic issues.
The situation in Afghanistan.
And in the recent Wisconsin U.S. Senate debate, the candidates spent exactly 2 minutes and 41 seconds discussing the war.
This nation-building mission is not the one that was authorized, and it is now time for them to come home.
We should now get out of Afghanistan.
This week marks the 11th anniversary of the war in Afghanistan, making it by far the nation's longest-running armed conflict. It's worth noting that Wisconsin soldiers are still fighting and dying in Afghanistan, as Monday's deployment makes clear.
Everybody as a nation should be engaged when our military is at war. Everybody should be engaged.
Nimrod Allen spent 10 years in the Marine Corps and served in the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. He is also running for the U.S. Senate as an independent candidate against Thompson and Baldwin. He says the war deserves more attention.
It's something that it may not be a hot ticket issue or a hot button issue, and it may not sell in local media and things like that, but it's something that needs to be discussed and it's something that needs to be resolved. And we can't just tiptoe around the issue or just neglect that it's actually going on.
The Marine Corporal says he knows the importance of the debt, but he points out the issue is tied to the Afghanistan war.
Seeing that most of our debt came from that war, I mean, tell me now, what do you think? Honestly, what do you think? Do you think that's something we can just avoid talking about, spending $1, $2, $3 billion a day on a war that's been lasting over 10 years, while people here are hungry, starving, losing work, losing equity in their homes?
And combat operations in Iraq ended 2 years ago, but there are still 68,000 troops deployed in Afghanistan. 39 Wisconsin soldiers have been killed so far in the conflict. Back to you.
It'll be interesting to see if it comes up in one of the debates coming up here in the future. I guess we'll see.
Indeed.
Thanks, Mike. The first presidential debate, speaking of which, is set for Wednesday, this Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. You can watch it live right here on Fox 6. We'll also be streaming it live on our website, fox6now.com. The topic for the first debate is domestic policy.
President Barack